righty. Good morning. Good morning. How's everyone feeling out of 10? Welcome back. The wake up call with myself and Alex. We go over the news analysis and our weird takes, and we have a lot of those today, especially the weird takes. How's everyone feeling out of 10?
Out of 10, you know what? I'm going to upgrade myself to a 7.
Oh my god.
7 out of 10.
It's always a 10 out of 10 for me. If you
All right.
wake up on the right side of the dirt, it's hard to have a bad day. That's what I always say. All right, we got a jam-packed one, so we're gonna get right into it. Top story: Missouri set to become the first U.S. state to exempt capital gains taxes on stocks, crypto, and real estate. This is a big deal.
It's a big deal. It's one of those things. If you live in Missouri, congratulations. You're still going to have to pay federal taxes, unfortunately, and so maybe one day this will percolate. I don't know what the word is. Move up to other states and to even a federal level. I mean, Devin and I have talked about what would we prefer over the United States buying 1 million Bitcoin or no capital gains taxes on stocks and crypto and real estate. I mean, we were mostly talking about crypto, and both of us said that we would cry tears of joy if capital gains taxes on crypto was done away with.
Yeah, you would really see me start to percolate if there was no.
That's the word for the live stream today. Anyway,
if there was no capital gains, yeah, I've talked about it. My wife seen me cry 3 times in our marriage. That would be the 4th time, tears of joy.
Yeah.
Okay, Arizona governor officially signs the law to establish Bitcoin reserve fund. This was vetoed.
Yes.
I think this was like last week or something. This was vetoed, and then it came back around. And Arizona is, I think, the 3rd official state, maybe the 2nd, that actually has signed it into law.
Yes. So we have what? We have New Hampshire and North Carolina. Is that right?
I don't remember if North Carolina. I know for sure New Hampshire, but this would be either the 2nd or 3rd. I don't remember which it is.
Okay.
But either way, dominoes are falling into place. Everything is something, nothing is everything. But this to me is, the beginning dominoes of sort of that 4th tier of dominoes to fall, which are, it was with the OG Bitcoiners, it's people adoption, and then it's business adoption, and then it's institutional adoption, and then it's government adoption.
Yeah.
And that's what Arizona is. It's its own government with its own funds. And this is a small domino in the larger 4th domino to fall, which ultimately is going to be great for crypto.
Yeah. So I envision a scenario where Bitcoin on its own time, who knows when that's going to be, but eventually breaks to the upside. I mean, we've talked about this a ton. I made a video. It was either today or yesterday. I published the video. I made it a couple of days ago, but published a video on my YouTube channel today. And I was speculating in that video that at some point we would see Bitcoin dominance in the 90 percentile again. Like, gun to my head, what am I going to choose? Whether that is going to happen or not. And I mean, we are talking about like over the next 10, 15 years, something like that. And I think, yes, I think that would happen at some point, and Bitcoin would just break out of everything else, everything that it's tied to. And this is another domino that eventually leads to, this is billions. We're talking about bees now, billions of dollars. We're not talking about millions anymore.
Yeah, and I would argue with all of the dominoes. So if this is just one of the small dominoes of the 4th large domino, we're really talking about trillions.
Yeah.
Arizona's, they're not, I would call them a medium-sized state. So this is this isn't nothing for sure. It's not New Hampshire. New Hampshire is tiny.
Yeah.
China announces massive rate cuts and $138 billion of liquidity injective. I didn't mean to put super bullish for the markets, but it is bullish. Money printer go burr.
So they're buying a lot of gold. We can see that, and don't know. So their Bitcoin holdings are close to 200,000 Bitcoin. I think it's 190,000. I would assume that I highly doubt that they disclose their buys for Bitcoin. If you look at global M2, which we all love to compare the fractal of forward-looking M2 and Bitcoin's price, a lot of the what's contributing to global M2 rising is China. They are printing lots and lots of money. In the United States, it's not even all that much printing going on right now, at least leading up to this week. But but yeah, we'll
Yeah,
see.
China's economy is a whole different animal than ours. Like, just one example is debt to income on like a real estate property. You generally need to have three times. You need to make three times your mortgage payment. That is like kind of the bare minimum in the United
Yeah.
States. In China, it's like 20 times.
Wow.
So they are way over leveraged, especially in the real estate market, and they've been printing money for a little while now. And I would say, as far as M2 going all time highs, China is definitely one of the leaders of that right now.
It's not even close.
Yeah. Okay, Coinbase to acquire crypto options platform Durbit for $2.9 billion, expanding its offerings in the crypto derivatives market. Um, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
More what?
something.
Something. Yeah. I mean, I was thinking more opportunity. So here's something that I've noticed trying to, with my losing plays, a lot of my losing plays in trading, in leverage trading, is that there's some cryptos that I think I'm pretty convinced they're available to trade so that the exchange can manipulate the price and
Oh,
liquidate you.
yeah,
And
literally.
especially a lot of the meme coins. So I don't do leverage on meme coins anymore. I just forget about it. Fartcoin, Popcat. I for some reason, even when like it's clear, like Fartcoin went from like $1 to 20 cents, I was net negative during that entire time. It's insane. So cool. Coinbase has more opportunity to extract liquidity from us.
Yeah,
And
that's what it is.
yeah,
There's predator and there's prey. I agree with Alex. I crush pretty consistently when I am sticking with Bitcoin, VeChain, Link,
yeah.
different coins like that. I start getting wrecked when I start doing dumb things and trading Farcoin and other stuff like that. So I'm in the same boat.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Sorry. Bank of England cuts interest rates by 0.25 to 4.25, citing Trump's tariff trade war as a key factor. So again, the United States hasn't necessarily started the money printer as far as interest rates cuts, but we're seeing the other countries start to do so.
Yeah, every other major player, they're cutting rates. The United
Yep.
States is not, and I can't entirely blame. I know Trump has his rhetoric with Jerome Powell. I think this morning he called him a fool or something like that. And
The village fool.
yeah, I mean, unemployment is not doing. I mean, honestly, I need to reevaluate my assessment as to whether there's going to be a recession. We did hit negative GDP the first quarter, but projections right now are for positive in the second quarter. That by definition is not a recession. And so what would be a reason for the Federal Reserve to cut rates? I mean, I know, all right, we're talking about Bank of England. Let me actually, I know the next slide, or one of the next slides, is talking about the Federal Reserve. So hey, Bank of England, they're not cutting rates. All right, okay, never mind. No changes for the. So I've been thinking about this a little bit. There are comparisons to right now when you look at the stock market, the Dow Jones, the S&P. There's some fractals you could overlay that would say that we're looking kind of similar to 1998. We talked about that last week. Well, in the 90s, what they did, there were times that they hiked rates and then they would cut them a little bit, and then we just were flat for a while during the roaring 90s. And what happened after that? The stock market went crazy. And so I'm not necessarily, I know a lot of people are like, man, you got to cut rates. Come on, cut rates. And they're thinking that that's a bullish thing. I see not cutting rates as a more bullish thing than cutting rates. The thing that would contribute to their cutting rates is that they're seeing down the road some signs of weakness. Okay, I see a comment. We've been in a recession. Yes, I agree with you, but not by their definitions. I'm going by their definitions.
Um, yeah, I would say to that too. Just kind of drawing parallels again with the major players sort of front running the United States, and the United States being the last sort of frontier of holding strong on not money printing as strongly. That's kind of what we saw in 2021 with the stimulus checks. If you remember, Canada and like the UK, they were doing monthly stimulus checks to their citizens. In the United States, it took them forever to do that first one, and then they ended up doing another one. But that took a long, long time, and they were, sort of the last one to really hold out on that.
Yeah,
That's what I think it is. It's just like the other countries are first, and then the United States, and I think perhaps it's a ditch of it's a game of whoever has the strongest currency wins, and that's the game that the United States and these countries are playing.
yeah,
So even though the Federal Reserve did not cut interest rates directly starting the money printer, they did have the single largest buy in the bond market in one day. So this might not be direct cutting of rates and money printing, but this is direct injection of liquidity into the market. And this is the highest purchase since 2021 in one
yes.
day.
So they're still unwinding their balance sheet to the tune of $5 billion a month, and in one day they bought $20 billion. What is this? The 10-year or the 3-year? I saw different
This is a three
ones.
year. This is the
All
3 year.
that's a 3-year. They did buy also 10-year notes on a different day this week. Now I did say to Devin before this live stream, like there is some. I saw on X, whatever, somebody claiming that this is just the repurchasing of expired bonds, but I don't know. So if it's not, then yeah, they've already started pretty heavily um, injecting.
Right.
So
Well, I mean, the signs are there. Like, no one expected them to cut rates this month, anyways.
yeah,
When we look on the Fed watch, the market pretty much anticipates July. So I think it's early warning signs as to what's going to happen. So we'll
yeah,
see. PayPal expands cryptocurrency offering. New token Chainlink and Solana is now available, so you can on and off ramp Chainlink and Solana, which is really really cool. I don't know if you guys have used PayPal to on and off ramp, but it's a pretty easy process. They don't charge you to on and off ramp. They do charge you to withdraw to your bank. That's where they make their money if you do it quickly. But I've used it a few times and I've had no issues. Someone in my Telegram said if you do it for the first time, they hold it for 48 to 72 hours. But after
okay.
that, I don't know. That wasn't the case for me, but they might have implemented that newly. So I would expect that if you are new to buying crypto on PayPal.
Yeah. So cool. I mean, I'm kind of surprised it took them so long, but here we are. More options, especially whenever I transfer crypto that I'm trying to offload. I tend to transfer Solana because I know it's going to get there quicker and it's not going to cost as much in fees. So now that Solana is available, great. I haven't bought crypto on PayPal since 2021, which when I bought my kids crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin very close to the peak in 2021. But hey, they're up on their Bitcoin. So cool. Not so much on their Ethereum or Litecoin, but one day.
One day, yeah. I haven't used it to buy, but I have used it to off ramp, and it's very
Nice.
seamless. If you um, do PayPal USD, from my experience, PayPal views PayPal USD the same as USD, and so when you convert
Cool.
it from crypto into US dollars, there is no fee there. So
Nice.
pretty cool. I like it the seamless transition between decentralized crypto and centralized. The more of a bridge that we have there, I think the better for all parties involved. Okay, so Richard Hart beats the SEC case and he comes out of hibernation. I talked about this on my live stream yesterday. whether you like Richard Hart, whether you like Hex, whether you like XRP or any of these cryptocurrencies that are battling authoritarian government, Big Brother, the SEC, overreach, whether you like them or not, I think we all should be rooting for crypto regulatory clarity and
Yes.
a lack of overreach from our government. So to me, this is a win for all of crypto.
Sounds great. I saw that news. I checked my hex, the hex that I bought $500 worth in December of 2020, and it is on a tear. It's now worth $178.
Let's
So let's
go.
go. Let's go, baby.
We're so back.
We are so back.
China confirms plans to begin trade negotiations with the United States. Again, like we've talked about this a lot. Everyone was just assuming that tariff is going to be bad. It's going to be crazy, but I've been putting it out there just based on the charts. Like I think that there's a very reasonable plausibility that this is a net positive for not only the United States but for the world. So we'll see. And I did think that China would be the last to come to the table. So if they're at the
Yeah.
table, it seems like the dust is going to settle. And one thing that I've talked about too, it's not necessarily whatever event that takes place that the market doesn't like. It's the uncertainty that the market doesn't like. So the sooner that we can get certainty and clarity, the better.
Yeah. So it was a scary time, and it was very unpredictable, and Trump was unpredictable, and we're not out of the woods yet. Uh, Kind of in relation to this, I mean, I shared some data in a recent YouTube video from somebody who was like, "Listen, I don't like the tariffs, but what I'm seeing here is plenty of data and evidence that domestic in the United States, we're seeing increased production, and so you know, hey, some props, not full props. I don't feel comfortable with Trump running the show and some of the decisions that he makes sometimes, but whatever he's aiming for, it's not a total failure.
I think I did see your video. And if I'm not mistaken, you were talking about the jobs that were created.
Yeah,
Where under the Biden administration, a lot of the jobs were government jobs, and these are more. I don't remember what you called it, but
private,
yeah, private equity or private, just basically
real jobs.
real jobs. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so
So that, and during Biden's administration, a lot of the job increase was from foreign born workers, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but let's just be real here. That was low wage jobs for the most part. I know there's plenty of foreign born people who come to the United States and do very well. That's not what I'm referring to in general. And now it's a lot more native born jobs that are being created, which is a good sign. And that's not being political. That's just facts, numbers. So
right, yeah, I think me and you both have the ability, and this is a crazy thing to do, but just like objectively look at facts.
yeah,
And data points, regardless of what political party it's for, and just separate that and think, is this a good thing for the world slash American people, or is it not, regardless of who is the one dictating these changes?
yeah.
Um, okay, so Trump and the UK have a trade agreement as well. So,
Did that just happen, or was this? Oh wait, no,
yes.
that was not okay. What
So
were you
this
gonna
was
say?
a few hours ago.
Okay,
Yeah, this was like maybe an hour ago when this happened. So again,
cool.
dominoes are falling.
Yeah,
The OCC clarifies national banks can buy and sell crypto assets, customers direction and outsource custody and execution services third parties with proper risk management. So basically, this is a bill or a law that allows for banks to buy cryptocurrency and sell cryptocurrency.
fantastic.
And finally, Pectra just went live on the Ethereum name net. This is a big thing for Ethereum, I think, fundamentally. We've talked about this. Ethereum, in both of our opinion, will be here 20 years from now. The question is it going to be Amazon or is it going to be AOL?
Yes.
And Pectra, the update for Ethereum, is a step in the right direction, in my opinion, as one of the biggest public haters of Ethereum known to man.
And hey, listen, I don't know much about the Pectra upgrade, but I'm looking at the chart and Ethereum is it's up 9% today. Looking at the ETH Bitcoin chart, there's some hope. There's some hope. Do we need Ethereum to lead the way for something with altcoins? I'm not going to answer definitively yes or no to that. Would it be helpful if Ethereum led the way for altcoins? Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, it
because we
would.
already have a clear path for that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with that as well. The biggest thing with Pectra is for me is it allows Ethereum somehow or another to be pay different gas fees when doing
Okay.
a transaction.
All
So
right.
I'm not sure how they did that, but they did. All right. With that, let's get into the charts and the analysis.
All right. I made a TikTok, posted a short on YouTube, on X, and everything earlier today, and I just want to keep it simple. Well, let me say one thing real quick. Here's if you're watching this, you pay attention to both of us. We both have different systems in place for when to buy and when to sell, and they're good complements towards one another. So with Devin, here's what I'll say about Devin. He's called 9 out of the last 10 bottoms over the last 5 years. That's a pretty phenomenal hit rate. And so you want to buy when Devin calls a bottom, buy when he calls a bottom, and you'll do very well. If you want something, if you're nervous because bottoms are scary and you want some confidence, well, I tend to buy close to the bottom and sell close to the top, and so this is what's happened again. This was my worst performance, this most recent one, because when I bought, I expected it to be the bottom, and then Liberation Day came and we were introduced with all sorts of insanity and scariness, and we dumped one more time. But still, I bought pretty close to the bottom. So what do? For me, it's quite simple. I've been preaching this for a while, and this is what I talked about in my video. Dips are scary when we're in a downtrend. They're very scary when we're in a downtrend. They're not scary as much, not really at all, when we're in an uptrend. So I don't like buying the dip in a downtrend, but we are now very clearly in an uptrend. Now is the time to buy the dip. Now is the time to DCA. Now is the time to hold on for dear life. So what's the strategy here? You buy when Devin calls a bottom, and you buy when we are in an uptrend, and then you sell when we are in a downtrend, or when we break the uptrend. We are in an uptrend. That's really all I want to say, aside from okay, Bitcoin dominance. Where are we going with Bitcoin dominance? Altcoins, we have this Ethereum Pectra upgrade where we're printing a nice red candle today for Bitcoin dominance. I would love to see this momentum continue. If so, then my general strategy right now with my trades has been to look for longs on Bitcoin only and to look for shorts on altcoins. As soon as we break this bullish structure on Bitcoin dominance, my strategy is going to change, and I will look to long altcoins. Now, that's not entirely, so I do have a couple longs opened. Link went back down. Chainlink went back down to an incredible value zone for me. That it's just, I was very confident it was going to hold. And look at exactly what it did. It went into my zone. I opened it along there. There's some other ones that Binance just kind of tends to do what it does without even worrying about the rest of the market. It does not dump when the rest of the market dumps. It holds up strong. So it was 8 for 9, but who was counting? Sorry, Devin. You're not as on point as I claimed. But
yeah, I got to get my percentages up.
yeah. Now, do we buy the dip today? I saw your video, Devin, that you posted before we went live. Uh, you missed an opportunity to buy the dip. So I mean, do we buy today? Is what I meant to say. This week gave you a dip. Did you buy the dip? Right now, Bitcoin's flirting with $100,000. You know, whatever you want a DCA, go for it. Not financial advice.
Okay. So I'm gonna I think so Bitcoin's at the 702 right now. And this is what institutions call, kind
Yes.
of the dumb money. Not that if you're buying or trading right now that it's dumb, or it's a dumb thing to do, but they call it that because realistically, when trading or accumulating, it's about probabilities. It's not really even about predicting. It's just about what is the highest probability of happening. And when you get in between the zero 0.5 Fibonacci and the 702, when you're in this zone right here, this is just a retracement zone. And someone in my Telegram asked me, like, what's next, 102 or 94? And the answer is, like, I don't know. That's the God honest truth, because when you're at the retracement, there is no lean one way or the other. There is no, like, you could easily pull back and back test, and you could easily break higher. Both are equally as probable. Okay. So that's why they call it the dumb money.
So you're saying it could go up or it could go down.
I'm saying it could go up or it could go down. But what I am saying confirmly too, what you talked about, we have clearly broken a downtrend. And
Yeah.
Bitcoin has a tendency, and all dips from here until we change course are for buying. So Bitcoin has a tendency when it breaks a downtrend, and we can see this, even the last downtrend that we were in, when you have lower highs and lower lows, when you break it, it kind of gruels, and then it's suddenly and then all at once, and it's a gruel up and then it violent breakout,
It
and
percolates up
it
and then,
percolates up.
yeah.
Yeah, we're in the percolating phase right now. And we see this again in 2022. When you break a downtrend, you kind of gruel your way up, and then it's all at once, percolating into a violent breakout. And to me, that's the phase that we're in right now. Just kind of the grueling, are we sure that we bottomed? I'm sure that we have bottomed, but the market is not. And we're at the 702. That's a common place to get rejected. And it's also a psychological level of 100K. There's also, this, you could count this as a lot of, although we're at the top of it now, but you could count this as resistance. Ultimately, I anticipate higher lows to continue to come in here. If you're going to tell me 102 is next, if you're going to tell me 94 is next, okay, like, I'll believe you. But for me right now, it's any dips right now are for buying, and we've been holding this
Yeah.
almost back since February. This has been a trend that's been at play, but certainly since April, this is Bitcoin has really honored this line right here, and we had a pretty strong bounce off of it. We're not even that overbought at this point. I mean, a little bit. So again, I'm not interested in making moves on Bitcoin today. But if we get a pullback, I'm interested in buying dips. I've pretty much been longing Bitcoin since 78K. And the altcoins, I have a little bit, maybe I'm a little bit eager McBeaver, but
So buy
uh,
spot. I mean, I'm buying spot.
yeah, buy spot. The dips on altcoins, definitely. I'm definitely longing on altcoins as well. Low leverage, because to me the opposite of accumulation of what Bitcoin just got right in here. So this is why I was so confident that the bottom was in for Bitcoin, April and all the other times, is because of, I don't know why my chart just stopped working, but because of Wyckoff accumulation, which is the bottoming structure, which is right here. And in my opinion, this is what we got for Bitcoin. And it was pretty clear for me. The spring was 74.4, and you have your selling climax, which is the true proper bottom. The secondary test goes lower, even though the selling climax is the climax of selling. And then you have the spring, which goes lower than both of those. That's what 74.4 was. And that's why I was very, very confident that the bottom was in. To me, though, Bitcoin dominance is doing the opposite. So the opposite of accumulation or a bottoming structure is distribution. And I don't know exactly where we're at, but we're somewhere between here and here. We're above the upthrust, in my opinion. So I would likely say that, hey, we're more closer to the end of this phase than we are to the beginning. If my chart will ever load, here we go. Let me, am I sharing this? Nope.
What do you? Oh
There
yeah.
we go.
Okay, there we go. Yeah.
So in my opinion, uh, Bitcoin dominance is doing distribution, and that is the next macro phase, is for this to finally roll over. And this is definitely showing a little bit of weakness right now. And we've had on the daily, when we look at the daily chart, we definitely have a bearish divergence here as the price is going higher and the RSI is kind of on a downtrend, as we can see right here. But to me, this is your buying climax. Your up thrust goes higher than the buying climax, and then your UTAD goes higher than the up thrust. The line in the sand for me, and then we will start to have a downtrend, is 64.6%. If we take this out, that would mark a lower low. And then what we would begin to see would be this right here, just kind of a little bit of a downtrend, and it'll be sudden, it'll be grueling suddenly, and then all at once. So for me, spot definitely is play on the altcoins. There's a lot of projects that are really in a good value zone. I'm looking at the coins
Yeah.
that have the, they're below the 236 with good inflation. Um, those are what I'm looking to add to positions on. Like ADA is an example of one that these all have the same setup as Bitcoin in 2013, which is, we talked about this a lot, but basically you just have kind of a macro uptrend. And then again, it's grueling, slow all at once. And, everything is kind of all there. The formula, sugar, spice, and everything nice is all there. The question is, when is it going to happen? And I've talked about, like, I'm a big hater of Ethereum, but Ethereum, make no mistake about it,
Yeah.
is going to be leading or likely leading. And this has also broken the downtrend. I do think that Ethereum is just a beat behind Bitcoin. And when let me show the right one here. Let's put this on the 5 hour. And this is what I'm talking about. So Ethereum is kind of in this spot right here, in my opinion. Let's put this on the 5 hour too. And what do I mean? It's just a beat behind. When we see we got all the same stipulations here. So on the top is Ethereum on the 5 hour chart. I like looking at the 5 hour. Look at whatever you like, but I like the 5 hour. And on the bottom is Bitcoin on the 5 hour. And you have this downtrend. You have a downtrend. You start to get your accumulation. You break the downtrend. Bitcoin kind of waddles here for a little bit. Ethereum kind of waddles here for a little bit, and then it breaks higher. In my opinion, that's about where we're at right now. And then Bitcoin is all the way up to the 702. I think structurally, Ethereum is going to catch up to Bitcoin, which is going to be very, very good for Bitcoin dominance. And that's about 3,300 to even 3,500. You could call it 3,000 to 3,500. That is the retracement zone. And that's where structurally Ethereum would catch up. But to me, it's about right here, and just slightly breaking above, as we can see today with the Pectrum upgrade or whatever. But yeah.
Okay. So, all right, I want to address something. This is directed to somebody who I haven't seen in the live stream yet. His name's Redemption, and he's accused me of agreeing with you when we go live and then backtracking on that in my own videos. What I would say as a rebuttal to that is, Devin, you make good points. That's all I want to say. And I actually would say that we are right now a lot more aligned than we have been in the past, like really for the first part of this year. So I don't know if you've paid attention to this. I mean, looking back to Bitcoin dominance. Well, first of all, with Bitcoin dominance, my opinion on that is that it's going to continue to climb until it breaks a new all-time high. Or maybe, which isn't that far from now. I
No,
mean,
we're
man,
10% away.
yeah. Or maybe it would continue to climb until like right before we break a new all-time high with Bitcoin, because people would start to to get excited and
FOMO.
start to yeah, and to prepare. So the point that you make that I think is a really good one is looking at that Ethereum chart and showing how similar it is structurally. I made a price target of 2,200 for Ethereum for for after a new all time high for Bitcoin, which I know a lot of people got really upset about. But hey, this Pectra upgrade, I didn't even take that into consideration. Looking at how Ethereum's doing today, that I hope I'm wrong. Please let me be wrong on that. There's definitely room for Ethereum to outperform Bitcoin here.
Well, and I think it's important too, like to really like when we look at Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin was just at $74,000 not even a month ago.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And now everyone's already excited again, and this is how it goes. And I talked about this in my videos. No one's going to be excited about it until we're at these levels, and that's just the sad reality.
yeah,
But when you put in perspective, Bitcoin went up. If you go from wick to wick, 34% in 30 days. That's like 4 or 5 years of stock market gains. That's what Bitcoin just did over the last month. So to think that Ethereum, that has less market cap than Bitcoin, cannot catch up in the same amount of time, it definitely, we know that crypto does this. It's boring,
yeah.
grueling, and then suddenly all at once. So to think that Ethereum couldn't catch up in 20, 30 days, I think is very plausible. I'm not necessarily predicting. I'm not saying, hey, go 100x long right now. FOMO, everyone, go buy 100x long, borrow from your grandma, borrow from your father in law, max out your credit cards. I'm not saying any of those things. And in fact, that's where people get in trouble. And I think that's the biggest mistake that new or even sometimes a long term crypto people make is Bitcoin's been around for 15 years and they think they have this mindset that's, hey, I need to make up for the 15 years that I was not involved in this next month.
Yeah.
And that is where you get into big, big trouble.
So, I mean, I remember if you're talking about retail, just like what that looks like. I remember in 2021, Bitcoin broke its all-time high, got up to 30 sorry, got up to $30,000, and it really still wasn't all that much excitement. Yeah, but then after that, I mean, it was pandemonium as we saw other things take center stage. So,
Yeah, nothing quite makes, FOMO or new holders quite like an all-time high. That is just the reality. What do you think will ETH get back to? I think the medium term move for Ethereum is 3,300. That's the most highest probability. You could call it 3,000, you could call it 3,500, but structurally that's the same move to me. And we'll see like when things get overheated or not. But to me, yeah, that's what I'm doing. I am, I look for values and probabilities, oversold, undersold, overvalue, undervalue. That's pretty much what I do. And I'm a macro investor and I'm super patient and I'm slow moving. And sometimes I can be in the wrong flavor for a few months, but that's okay because that's just how I move. I move very slow.
yeah. So I tweeted out yesterday, if you could share my screen real quick. Um, this will it get that high? We'll see. Somebody saying Bitcoin's dominance falling. Yeah, I mean, I see that. We have not gotten to a lower low yet. It is still structurally bullish. But the 786 retrace from the 2021 peak is 66.2%. And I mean, again, Pectra upgrade. We'll see. Ethereum's looking really good today. Maybe we won't get up there, but that would be a place of interest for me. That
I
I
think
would
I
love to
think
see a
it's
reversal
clearly
there.
broken the downtrend. That doesn't mean off to Valhalla tomorrow,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
we'll see. Someone asked me about Flux earlier.
Oh shoot, I wasn't showing you guys my chart. It doesn't matter. Yeah,
Oh,
Flux. Go ahead.
to me, I talked about this. I just tweeted about this actually, but to me, Flux is put in its spring. So we'll see what my track record looks like, but am I calling another bottom? We'll see. But to me, Flux has it's gotten its spring. That's what we just got. And this is super macro. So this isn't tomorrow. This doesn't mean go 100x long on Flux or anything like that. But I do think that structurally is the spring of Wyckoff, and it's a pretty clean,
You're not sharing your chart, by the way.
pretty clean setup. Okay. It's not even loading anyways. Here we go. I'll share it now. Okay. So to me, this is all like we're in phase C, and this might even be your test right in here. But you have your preliminary support, your selling climax, your secondary test, your automatic reaction, your secondary test in phase B goes lower than the selling climax, and then the spring goes again lower than the secondary test. That is pretty textbook, literal textbook. Like, here is the text class. Turn your pages to page 76. This is going on your final report card. But there you go. Preliminary support, selling climax, automatic reaction, secondary test in phase A. And then you have phase B goes lower than the selling climax. And then you have the spring goes lower than phase B, which goes lower than phase A. You might make an argument that we are at the test right now. But either way, I do think that the spring is in for Flux. And it is one of my favorite AI plays. So
Work.
and proof of work. That's right.
Yeah.
Big money likes safe money.
Okay.
Do you see ETH going over 4K after it goes to 3K? Yeah, but one thing at a time. You know what I mean? One thing at a time. And every cycle too, like my parabolic prediction for Ethereum is about 7,200. But every single cycle, literally every single cycle, there are coins that only retrace. And for Ethereum, the retracement is 3,300. So last cycle, the big giant that only retraced was XRP, right? So from the top of 2017 to the bottom of 2020 or 2018, it only retraced to the 618 Fibonacci retracement in 2021. And everyone's like, XRP sucks. It's dead, blah, blah, blah. And then it makes a new all-time high now. So every cycle coins do this. They only retrace. I'm not going to be like, well, Ethereum's always went parabolic, so that means it's always going to. To me, it's one step at a time. I do think that there's better technology than Ethereum, and I don't think it's a crazy thing to think that Ethereum will only retrace. If you want to even count this as already doing it, we'll see. 3,300 to wrap it up, put a full bow, a nice pretty bow on it. That's the first target where we need to get to, and then we'll worry about getting parabolic.
Okay. I do not believe Ethereum's going beyond 3,300. So
yeah,
but let's be right. You be right, Devin. There we go.
I don't know. Like, I don't believe in it fundamentally to do it, but I do think, okay. And two, let me bring it back full circle too, with this fractal that we've been talking about. I do think it seems to me that it's almost like crypto is moving at a exponential timeline at this point. If this continues to hold, which at some point it's not going to, but right now it is. And it's almost like every 5-hour candle is a daily candle from 2021. So you have this distribution here. This is distribution. Then you're marked down. Then you have your accumulation. The selling climax was Luna, and then FTX was the spring. We had OM went to zero during the same structural phase as FTX going to zero. And then we even had the war, like the war in Israel kicked off, and then the war in Pakistan and India back tested right in here. So I don't know. Maybe I'm reaching here, but it feels like we're on a exponential timeline. So if that were true in Ethereum, that would be the case of like, hey, this was already the structural retracement to the 618, 702. And then it's going to work on we're on a bigger timeline here. And this is working on the kind of like how XRP did. So we went to the 0.5. That is a retracement right here. Macro.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right, what altcoins is worth buying on dips? I think we're pretty much in agreement on that. For me right now, I'm sticking with of course, what's the word? Good tokenomics,
Yep.
and coins that are easier to trade right now. The old more OGs, things like that.
The
I
dinosaurs.
Yeah, the dinosaurs. I would also say, I'm looking at ones that have been outperforming the market. So it would probably be easier to answer the question which altcoins are not worth buying on the dips. And we could talk about highly inflationary, but I'm also kind of not interested in ones that have been lagging behind as much. Especially highly inflationary ones that have been lagging behind. So what are some examples of those? I mean, we have ICP has been struggling. It's just not been doing much. The ones that there's still several that are still in downtrends, even while the total altcoin market cap, total two and total three, are in uptrends. Those are ones I'm just not interested in right now. Ones that have been performing well, even though this is kind of breaking the rule, like SUI is breaking the rule. It's breaking that rule that I just said, because SUI is highly inflationary, but given how well it's performed, given the potential that it could do something similar to what Solana did in 2021. Similar, not entirely the same. The ecosystem, I like Cetus. I like some meme coins on Sui. I like Deep Book. And there was another one that I bought into. Those are kind of my choices, but
Yeah. So I've been a hater of Sui for a while.
yeah,
This is your distribution. Very textbook and clear. Buy and climax, upthrust, UTAD. This is your markdown. This is your accumulation. In April, the same thing as Bitcoin. I said that I think that Sui has bottomed, and I thought that it's card changing money, not life changing money.
yeah,
But structurally, this is basically the same point of where Bitcoin is at. So it's already at the retracement here. It's at the 618. You've already had your accumulation, and you're already at the 618 retracement, making a higher low structure. So I think $30 billion market cap. That's going to be the true price. I'm a little bit more interested in the ecosystem of Sui.
yeah,
So that's about 1.5x from here. Again, that's nothing to write home. That's nothing to sneer at compared to the stock market. But when we think of crypto gains, no one's like waking up out of bed chanting at 1.5x's. But that's realistically what I think Sui has in store. But I will say though, I do think Sui, Cass, who else? There's a couple of coins that seem to be leading the altcoins, right?
yeah.
Cass did a 2030x.
Aspa,
Yeah, Caspa, the green one, did a 2030x, when everything else is completely dead in 2023. So I think that these coins are indications, leaders of the market.
hmm,
And for me personally, the coins that I'm looking at that I like have the same Bitcoin setup as, and I don't really even care that much about the coin. It's more about the structure to me with, you have the caveat of low inflation, right? So on the top is Bitcoin. If it'll load, I don't know why my trading view is just like super slow right now, but come on, bro. I'll try to set this up for you guys. But in the middle is ADA, and on the bottom, it doesn't really matter. Again, like whatever coin you want, I don't care. We'll do Link. And I'm looking at market cap too, which is really the true price. Again, let's go on the daily. But we have the same. A lot of the altcoins look like this. There's a lot of altcoins that look like this, but specifically the ones that look like this that have good tokenomics, low inflation, are the ones that I'm very interested in, especially making swing plays. My God, I didn't mean to do that. Swing plays, trades, stuff like that. Here we go. I just did something bad. That's okay. All right. So on the top is Bitcoin. On the bottom is in the middle is ADA, and then on the bottom is Link. And these have the same structural setup to me. So this is Bitcoin from 2013 through 2017. And this right here is your, your sign of strength here. So these are all the same points, the same data points in Wyckoff that you can see. You have your skid down, your markdown, your downtrend, your bear market, whatever you want to call it. That's all the same spot right here. Then you have your accumulation, which accumulation is just a long, boring sideways U or a W or whatever you want to say. The sign of strength confirms that the bottom is in. So you get your sign of strength, your back test, reaccumulation. Then you have a move higher than the sign of strength over here. Your move higher than the sign of strength, your move higher than the sign of strength. Back test again for Bitcoin back in 2016 was pretty violent, but same thing. And then you start to gruel your way up and you get a little bit of an uptrend. And I would argue a lot of these coins are kind of already getting a little bit of a micro uptrend and maybe just barely right in there, right in this moment, right in here, structurally. And then this is the end of the story is the mark up. So a lot of the altcoins look like this to me, and these are the ones that I'm interested in.
Yeah, I'll also throw out a plug for Bitcoin Cash. I'm looking at it. Man, it's one of like 4 cryptocurrencies that outperform Bitcoin in the bear market, and that like it didn't dump as much, and it's ready, man. It's like has these explosive moves, and another one today.
ETH just went above $2,000.
Oh, nice.
We're so back, boys.
Imagine being in 2021, or really even just a few months ago, and being happy that ETH is over $2,000. But here we are.
Yeah,
I
I'll
also
take it.
want to say, like, I'm still very interested in meme coins, and of course, got to throw out the plug, he and Solnick for sure. But then, I mean, there's plenty of meme coins. I mean, we're talking about tokenomics. Most meme coins have zero inflation. So I'm very interested in that. And, dare I say fart coin? I just feel dirty when I say it. I feel poopy. And Popcat, Popcat, but there's a lot of them. So
He's starting to move. Okay, so if I'm right, listen, I'm not here to be right or wrong. I'm just here to throw out whatever I think is the highest probability. People, I'm known for a predictions guy. I'm not really. I just outline what is the highest probability and then what is plausible scenarios. Not like, people have an reasonable anxiety. And I don't like to entertain that, but I'll like, what's reasonably plausible, and basically just take action based off of those scenarios, right? So, what is the highest probability? And I'll give you an example. XRP is an example, right? So, um, XRP to me is also at the retracement, and I have no interest in buying XRP right here. I have no interest in selling XRP right here. Okay. To me, right now, XRP is a hold, and the context is my average price is 20, 30 cents. So you might be different. The value might be different for you. But for me personally, I have no interest in buying XRP. I have no interest in selling XRP. Now, let me tell you what I'm talking about when I go into predictions versus like actually what is probable, what is plausible. So to me, right now, XRP, the probable thing is that we are going to break from this downtrend. We're going to break from this fractal that it's been following for, this is the first time I've moved it in, literal years. The probable thing is it's going to break from this fractal, and it's going to start an uptrend, which it looks like it's already starting, and it's going to break out higher. That's the next macro thing. That to me is the highest probability. And if that were to take place, I still hold 60% of my XRP. I'm going to sell at $5, $8, $12. That is my exit targets. Now, what is less probable but plausible, if we break $1.80, to me, we're going to come back to $1.33 or $1 even. And then if that happens, I will buy spot position on XRP. So that's just an example of how I sort of operate. It's not really about predicting, but yeah, if I'm correct though, I say all that to say, if I'm correct about Ethereum and it's just a beat behind Bitcoin and it's really about to get to the retracement, Bitcoin dominance is really close right now. It's very much flirting with, we're within
yeah.
What percentage are we here? 0.4%. So less than half of a percent making a lower low. So we'll see. I would love to see that.
Yeah. Man, I'm looking at the charts right now, and I'm seeing lots and lots of green and significant green, like 20%, 10% gains. Now, I don't want to buy that, but
No,
there is a sense of FOMO that I'm feeling of like wanting to position myself on the next dip for moves higher, and there's still a lot of value in the altcoins for sure.
definitely. Yeah, I think Link is a good value. I think ADA is a good value. I think any structural coin that looks like that. Obviously, Solnic, hee, those are my top values. Um, we have pretty big things coming out for that. Actually, we're almost done with the staking, so you're going to be able to lock up Solnic and earn APY on that. We're still shooting the documentary BYOB, be your own bank, and so on chain should be coming out soon. So the on
How
chain,
are you doing? Sorry, yeah, on chain. Can't wait for that. Sorry, I interrupted you.
go ahead.
I was gonna ask, how are you doing staking? Like, is it like a donated wallet or something?
So it is a lot of my the
Yeah,
APY is going to come from my bag
yeah.
to start with, and then it's going to be on a slasher method.
Okay,
And what we talk about in this game of crypto is the game of crypto and the game of investing in general is a game of patience. And those that are patient are rewarded. Um, and that's how this is going to be. Literally, those that are patient are going to be rewarded via APY, and those that are not patient are going to be punished. So if you lock it up for 90 days and you don't hold your word and you need your money at 60 days or 30 days, you're going to pay a penalty. And that's where the APY for future is going to come from.
cool.
And then beyond that, like I said, it's going to start with a big chunk of my bag that you guys are going to earn APY on. Why didn't you buy one big? I didn't either. I bought it at 78, so I missed the 74 too, bro.
Yeah, I just made a video addressing that, and I mean, let's not talk about Bitcoin at 74K. What I will talk about is, pull up my chart, please. When did I buy? Because I don't buy the bottom. I never buy the bottom. I try to buy around the bottom. And so here we are. Where did I buy Bitcoin, or not? Where did I buy my crypto? I bought a little too early. I will fully admit that. I bought like around here, and then I bought more around here.
I
I never buy the bottom.
I
Go ahead.
think 6 months from now we're going to look back and that's going to be amazing. By the way, the one time I was wrong was February, and I had a bad misread. So Bitcoin was only just now back up to when I thought. One of the 9 times that I called a bottom was February, and that's because I was predicting what Trump is going to do, and that's a terrible,
Yeah, yeah,
you know.
Trump. Oh man, like
So
this has been the most frustrating trading last few months of
yeah,
my life.
yeah. I had the event correct too. That's the thing. Like I said that the event that would be the bottom would be the tariffs. And the thing that happened though that I was not anticipating was they kept delaying it.
Yeah,
And so when it actually went to effect was 74.4, and that was the bottom. So I predicted that back in February, but if you remember, like they were going to go into effect in February and then they delayed it for like, whatever, 90 days or whatever it was.
yeah,
So last time, the one time I got it wrong was February when I called a bottom and it was not a bottom. So
yeah. Um, it was the same deal, and that's like probably the how do I say this? Like for those who haven't paying attention to me, I hope it's worked out well for you. And if you've done what I've done, it should have worked out well for you. My worst week was that week after Liberation Day. That was because he introduced all sorts of he lifted up that board with all this new uncertainty injected into the market, and whatever, it happens. So
What do you expect Bitcoin dominance to fall to for alt season to start? I mean, we're pretty damn close. We're at 64.7. To start it, I want to see a lower low. That's really it. But if you're asking for all-time highs and like the craziness, that's a different answer than when is it going to start. To start, it's 64.6%. That is a lower low, and we are flirting with it right now. We're at 64.7, and Bitcoin is falling actively right now. Dominance is falling actively right now.
yeah.
That's when it starts to me. But the question of like when are things going to get fun and exciting and people are going to start FOMOing, that's more like, high 50s.
Yeah, I mean, what is the definition of the start of alt season? It's like, you know, and what is the definition of alt season? Because like I think here's where I differ with a lot of people is like I don't think what's coming next is alt season. I think it's an outperformance of altcoins for a period of time. And that's just based off of something that has worked out well for me, which is just a mindset of like, this is not the environment. I've talked about this a ton, the economic environment for full blown alt season to happen similar to 2021 or 2018. So, so what happens instead is, you know, I hope this is the worst case scenario. And, this we're probably of a different mindset. I would assume we're of a different mindset, but something like this happening again. I hope that's worst case scenario. As far as forgive me for the terrible drawing there, but that's kind of what I'm mentally preparing for. And if it's better than that, then fantastic. Please let it be better than that. But otherwise, I'm going to get pretty conservative if we see something like that. And of course, the same deal of seeing 1,000 people in my live stream on TikTok. I'm selling on the day, on the day of 1,000 people in my live stream on TikTok.
Someone asked two questions. I'll do back to back real quick. Ski, what do you think we are on the psychology chart? Hope, disbelief? I would probably say, yeah, yes. Hope or disbelief. If you want to tell me either one of those is fine. Realistically, I've talked about this a lot. Uh, realistically, I've talked about this a lot, but retail is not going to believe in this until we're at all-time highs. And that is the sad reality, but it is just true. Um, Someone asked me total 3. My thoughts on that, it's the same as Ethereum. It's the same, the sort of um, beat behind Bitcoin. And in my opinion, the next thing is to make a. Let me show my chart here.
Yeah, go for it.
We're like flirting with a higher high right now, and we've already put in a higher low. To me, this is the same thing that we circled with Ethereum, and it almost looks like Ethereum's actually a little bit even ahead of the total 3, which is interesting because it has not been that way. Let me show. Okay, so on the top is the total 3, and in the middle we're gonna do Ethereum. And then on the bottom, we'll do Bitcoin. To me, these are all the same structure, just at different spots of the structure. So let's go to the 5 hour. And then I'll circle this. So basically, this is the same spot here, and then you have you have your downtrend here. I'll just do that. You have your downtrend, and these are all kind of the same spots. Ethereum has already kind of broken this. It appears. Definitely, it has. As we can see, it's really starting to heat up at this point, even within this live stream. So this is already kind of at this first candle right here, in my opinion, structurally, of where you break out of this. And the total 3 is just a slight it hasn't quite broken from the trend here, but it looks pretty strong. So it's at basically the top of the prior range right here, the same little spot right here. So that is the next thing to break out of this, get to the 382. And ultimately, I think that Ethereum is going to catch up to Bitcoin, which is at the 618,702, which for Ethereum is 3,300. For the total three, that would be almost just shy of $1 trillion. All right. What was ETH low the last few months? Anyone know?
Wasn't it like 13 under 1,400?
Yeah, I got pretty low. So it got to 1380. Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah.
We would be just so pumped about ETH being at $2,000 is kind of on a scale of 1 to 10, what are the chances of Solnik hitting 25 cents by the end of the bull? Pretty high, especially what we have, with the staking, the documentary coming out, BYOB, on chain. We have the stable coin coming out. We have when we do what we say we're going to do. And that's what it's about to me. It's not a straight line up, but just being consistent and consistently developing and executing on what we say we're going to do. I would say yes. I think that that's reasonable. So that puts you $250 million market cap. That would put us in the top, 200. That's I have aspirations even bigger than that. So, but if it doesn't happen this time, I have even
Next
more.
time.
Yeah, like I'm just gonna keep pushing and keep it moving forward. I talked to the whales, like I'm already planning for the next bear market. I'm going to aggressively accumulate some of the supply so that we can do even more of the staking, liquidity mining, and all the other things that we're trying to do. That's my plan. I got to get my house in order before I can aggressively DCA, but that's the next thing.
Nice.
Powell was far too hawkish yesterday for me to believe we get an alt season anytime soon. He says whatever. Like I'm not gonna, people live in that world where they want to make their investment thesis based off of what someone says or not says. Like they change it on a dime. I've seen them, you know, it's one of those things, do as they do, not as they say type things to me. So I stream it sometimes what he says, but I have I put very little weight in what any of these characters say, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, especially Jerome Powell, he's gonna. I like to put on my interpretation goggles whenever he speaks, because I mean, the lesson from 2021 was just don't believe a word that comes out of his mouth. So,
No one cares what old man Powell says.
hey, I actually okay, Tars AI. Oh, Tars AI. Yeah, Tars looks great. For some reason, people. I made a couple short videos last week talking about Tars. No, whatever, it doesn't matter. Tars pumped really hard, and then around 9 cents, I was like, it took a dip. It hit my take profit level number one. Took a dip. It dipped a little bit lower than where I thought it was going to go. I admit that, and now it looks like it's back on track, just like everything else. So, anyway,
someone said the trade deal is set with the UK. I guess it's already official. Trump was already tweeting about that this morning.
Yeah.
Is that what the announcement was at 10 o'clock? I guess. 88 prediction 2468. That's my exit targets.
There we go. 2468.
Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are my exit targets for ADA.
If we were to have my early 2024 prediction for Cardano was $4.86. If we're going to go along according to plan, just like every other cycle, which I do not believe, but hey, 486. So,
Chainlink targets. Chainlink, I really like Chainlink short term. I'm in a long on short Chainlink right now actively. I'm not saying
yeah, me too.
go long Chainlink because I've been in this for a few weeks. Um, but I believe in Chainlink very short term. I believe in Chainlink very medium term, and long term. It's in my kids' portfolio. So yeah, Chainlink to me is a good play here. 38 to me is the minimum. That's the retracement. 78 is the probable. And then if it wants to go crazy, parabolic euphoria 178.
Sounds good.
But I'm not going to wait for the day that never comes. I will be de-risking. Stop lying to your audience. What am I lying about?
Where's One Up? One Up hasn't come out of his cave lately.
I know he waits for the red days.
Yeah, yeah. Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I never hear from them until we're back. Oh, we pulled back 5%. We're going to 30K.
You lost your followers so much money, Devin.
Yeah. Yeah. Eight out of 9 bottoms. I lost the money.
Oh,
Someone says, "Are you buying physical gold?" I buy physical silver. I just sold 30% of my gold. I'm not buying gold right now. I sold 30% at 3,300. Silver's down, but I buy silver every week still. I think silver's a beat behind gold.
yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of metals people that I've been following lately, and what they've been calling for after gold did its thing is a couple things. One, that silver's next, but then two, that the real big move for silver would be after a crisis of some point. And that's what happened, 2008 great financial crisis. The years after that, silver went insane. It peaked in 2011. So that's more of I want to be adding to my stack on silver. What are you going to say?
Yeah, silver to me is not necessarily an investment. It's a hedge against terrible things, But I would say too, like the funny thing is what we talked about with Bitcoin, that same structure, like silver has it too. To me, this is a accumulation, your sign of strength, your back test, your move higher than the back test. Now, silver, this is on the 3-day chart. This is going to take a
Yeah, it
long
moves
time to
much
play out.
slower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, my next target's $38, and then super macro. I think we could get to $50 to $70.
I
But
mean,
that could take a decade. That could be
oh
2029.
yeah. I mean, dare I say, I would have to think that it would go higher than that because we're talking about a 40-year, 45-year cup and handle forming. I mean, break out of that and it's wild,
Yeah. This is kind of crazy. Looks like XRP.
man. Yeah, those Hunt brothers in the late 70s, early 80s trying to corner the market.
Yeah, and they got cornered.
Yeah.
Yep, that's kind of a crazy thing that happened. If you study history, that could be a good video for your other channel.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you didn't know, there's these billionaires. They caused this bubble because they were buying up all this, and then the government forced them to sell,
Yeah.
confiscated all their silver. So, kind of a crazy thing. If you didn't know though, silver, I compare XRP to silver a lot. Not that XRP is number 2, like silver is number 2, but silver, if you didn't know, is literally the most manipulated asset
Yes.
on earth.
It's insane.
So that's why I like to compare XRP to silver, because I think so that it is very much artificially manipulated. I mean, that's everything. I'm not naive, but XRP is probably one of the highest where it's artificially manipulated. So is silver. I have 2 Bitcoin. I'm 26. Enough to retire by 40? I think so. Like if you just hold on to that by 40, you think you should be good.
I saw an interesting thing. I mean, this doesn't entirely answer that question, but let's say that you're in your 20s and you get to a point where by 2030 you have 4 Bitcoin in your possession. There was this infographic I saw on X that this person was saying that if you sell off $100,000 worth of that every year for the rest of your life, you'll have $100,000 for life. Now, would I do that? Would I recommend doing that? No, I would not. But interesting.
No, I think that's a solid place to be, having 2 Bitcoin. Kept
Oh yeah,
one.
in your
Yeah.
20s, that's great.
Yeah. You're crushing. um, yeah. All right. What do you think?
I'm about ready.
All right. Well, that is gonna be a wrap for this one, guys. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch. I am on Instagram, Twitter, Twitch. World War Bitcoin. Alex is on Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok.
Yes.
We will never message you first.
Nope. That's somebody from Pakistan or Kakistan. Something with Stan.
Yeah,
So
some Stan, Pakistan, Turkistan, Lakers in 5. Lakers got swept in 5. All right, yeah, I'm not gonna message you. Those are scammers. I don't have anything to sell you. I'm not gonna ask you for money. I'm not a prince in just trying to get back to my palace or anything like that. So, uh, but all right, guys, that is gonna be it for this time. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch. Peace, love, prosperity. God first, God bless.